I once discovered completely by accident that somebody I was dating was indeed legally married. And this was after about 2 years of knowing them. Now, we didn't date for that entire period of time, but nowhere in that time did he mention he was married. And just by accident, because of something he said, I twigged on, hold on a minute, are you still married? And I had to ask the question directly. Bearing in mind this person had given no indication, mind you, through behavior or words, that they were indeed married. And they fully well knew that had I known that they were still legally married, I would never even have gone out on the date with them. Now, this is my former self, okay? And when I questioned them about this discovery, which was completely by accident, they themselves looked annoyed at themselves because they had said something that obviously had twigged in my mind. I needed to ask that question. They then responded by saying, you just like to argue. And when they said that, I chuckled in my head because number one, I knew immediately this is over and you don't realize it's done, okay? I'm not even going to be having any more conversations with you because this is a no-no for me, right? But I also chuckled because that is the dog whistle. That is that classic statement that is made to make you as a woman question yourself and question whether you even have the right to be speaking to them, the right to be asking the questions you're asking. You see, often individuals who are of low intelligence, who are not confident about communicating, are manipulative. Yeah? What they will do is tell you that you're being argumentative as a woman. In fact, what happens in popular culture and just in the way women are often portrayed and raised is you're told that as a woman, we gossip, we talk too much, and we're argumentative. We're too emotional. We hang on to emotions. We hold grudges. When in actual fact, a lot of the time, that is your innate internal wisdom telling you something is not right. Okay? That is your own intelligence saying, I am being lied to, or the facts aren't clear, or the full story is not being told. And when you choose to communicate and express doubt, or you question something that doesn't seem right, anytime you get a response like that, you know that you are right. And you're dealing with somebody who is dishonest. You're dealing with somebody who is trying to manipulate you, especially when it's by omission. Because really and truly, mentioning that you are still married to someone who, in the eyes of the government, you are still one, when you are dating someone who is pretty critical. It's essential. And if you're not ashamed or you're not doing anything dodgy, you would openly share that. Particularly if you are asking that person to marry you, you are asking that person to build a life with you, okay? It's very important because one of the things I experience is that some men, they miscalculate who they're dealing with. Because that isn't going to make me feel ashamed. I'm not going to feel embarrassed or self-conscious that you're now implying that I'm just a silly, emotional woman who likes to argue. And quite frankly, I've got better things to do. Arguing is not something I like to spend my precious time doing. What we're doing here often as women is communicating. And often a lot of women are actually trying to seek clarity because maybe you don't want to be wrong. Yeah, maybe I personally in that situation, I had a sinking feeling in that moment because one thing I don't like, okay, is living a lie. And the other thing I don't like is doing things that I feel are fundamentally wrong. And at that point, I had actually met his friends. So I've been out in public with you when in actual fact you are married to somebody else. I don't like that. I don't like that, which means that you didn't even think about how I might feel and my reputation, except for the fact that he had known enough about me by that point to know that would not be reflective of my values and the way I deport myself as a woman. Why would I be out publicly with a married man? Why would I be out having conversations with other people about making plans to do things? Meanwhile, you're married. That for me personally is not appropriate. It's not acceptable. And I don't need to be doing that. And so it's very important because in that scenario, as I say, he kept pushing on this narrative that I'm being argumentative. And I knew, one, you are hiding something. And of course, it emerged that he was. But two, that's not you being argumentative as a woman. So don't allow these kind of tropes, okay, to make you lose your senses. and end up in situations or accepting treatment, accepting a culture of behavior that isn't aligned with your values because you do not want to be portrayed as somebody who is difficult or argumentative.